Hey, our Chargers, what is the foundation of your leadership built on? Hey everybody, it's Gunny J here. So what is the foundation of your leadership built on? The law of solid ground states that leadership is built on the foundation of trust. If the law of the lid is the top, the law of solid ground is that foundation. Because without it, your leadership will crumble. People talk about ethics. There's ethics in everything we do. There's business ethics and warrior ethics and that ethics and this ethics. Ethics just transcends everything that you do. All there are ethics. And if you're not ethical, people are not going to trust you. And what's worse, if there's an ethics hit, an integrity hit at the very top of leadership, it'll work its way all down through the organization. No matter how many classes you hold, no matter how many books you print, no matter how many ethical leadership motivational posters you put up on the wall, your company will be toast if your leadership isn't ethical. People do what they see. I'll give you an example. Take your thumb and forefinger, go like this, like an OK sign. Now put it on your chin. I bet most of you put it on your cheek, even though I said chin, because people do what they see, not always what they hear. The visual input in leadership is a huge, huge thing. That's why in the Marine Corps, one of the primary leadership principles that we follow is that we set the example. That should be a leadership principle that we all follow, is setting the example. So let's take a bigger look at ethics and character and see how this relates to the law of solid ground. One story that I've always liked is a story about the Roman soldiers. When the centurion would go down the ranks inspecting them before battle, he'd take a swagger stick and he would knock on their armor and it would make a distinctive sound. And the Roman soldier would say integritas, where we get our word integrity from. Now, that armor, if it had been properly maintained, would serve the Roman soldier well in battle. If it had not been maintained, not so much. But the important part of this is how the Roman soldier took care of his armor was a direct reflection, a manifestation of his internal character. So what does integrity look like? Well, the first thing is consistency. There's a saying that I really like about that is the pain of discipline weighs far less than the pain of regret. It takes discipline to have consistency throughout your decision-making process, throughout the emotional ups and downs. A leader must remain consistent. And if he has consistency, that very much helps with his integrity. The next one is honesty. Now that may seem easy, except when a leader makes a mistake, a lot of times we don't want to admit it. But you may fool the upper echelons, but you don't fool the lower echelons of whom you lead. If you make a mistake, admit it, correct yourself, move on. Having honesty lends greatly to the integrity of your character. The next one is authenticity. As we say in the Marine Corps, you got to do you. You got to be authentic. Some leaders may be more authoritarian, some leaders may be more democratic. Some leaders may be able to have a very relaxed relationship with their subordinates, and some leaders not so much. You have to be authentic. discipline. Discipline is huge. Discipline is what carries you through the day-to-day things. Discipline allows you to be honest. Discipline allows you to be authentic and not try to be some parrot imitating some other leader. And discipline builds that consistency that we talked about. Next, we're going to look at a few things that you need to do in order to build trust, in order to build that solid foundation that you need in order to lead. The first one is competence. You have to be competent at what you do. And if you're not, then you better get there. That whole fake it till you make it thing, I don't buy into it. You don't fake it until you make it. The world doesn't give you what you want. The world gives you who you are. In the Marine Corps, we call it being tactically and technically proficient. Competence is a key thing if you're going to lead people and if you want to build their trust. Way too many times I see people call themselves leaders, but they have no clue what they're talking about. Does that mean you have to be in the weeds? No, you don't have to be in the weeds. But you better be pretty far low to the ground and be able to do the jobs that you're asking of your subordinates. Connection. One of the things that differentiates a leader from a manager is connection. Now, can managers have a connection with their people? Absolutely. A leader has to have connection with his or her people. And that may take getting some self-development books or going to seminars and learning how to build rapport with your subordinates. And the last one is character. Your words and your actions have to be congruent. If your words and your actions aren't congruent, then you need to do a checkup from the neck up. And if it's a blind spot, then you need like an accountability partner or a leadership coach in order to see those blind spots and figure out where your words and your actions are not congruent. Bottom line is you can't go beyond the limit of your character for very long. So now we're almost at the end of this lesson. I want to give you a couple homework assignments. If you really want to find out if people trust you, then ask them. Find 5 people that you're closest to, or just 5 people in general, and ask them, do they trust you? And if they don't, ask them, why not? If you get defensive, then you break down that connection and you stop your rapport, and you're not going to be able to lead them. So you're going to have to take their constructive criticism with a lot of self-discipline so you don't get angry at them. This isn't about getting defensive. This is about you finding areas where there's blind spots that you can grow. The next bit of homework is actually in your worksheets that you can get off my Thinkific site. I'll put the link down below. The first one is, in your current position, what are some of the most important things you do that build trust with others? What might happen if you stop doing them? And what would be the cost? This shows an intentional mindset to make a connection, build a rapport, and build trust. John Maxwell mentions that leaders can earn relational change or have it taken away. When you make mistakes, how do you restore confidence in yourself? If someone in leadership above you makes a mistake or breaks your trust, what might help restore your trust? And the last one is, what can you do to keep track of the trust you're building in your relationships? I'll tell you one thing that a lot of people don't like to do that really, really helps, and that is journaling. So here we are, we're at the end of the lesson. Remember that the law of solid ground says that trust is the foundation of leadership. I really think that this is one law that you can't work too much on. I think every day we need to evaluate our character and take stock in ourselves and gain a little bit of self-awareness to make sure that we're laying a foundation of trust with those in whom we lead. Thanks for listening. Obviously, subscribe over here on the button or the button down below. I got links to my Thinkific site. If you want to get a hold of the worksheets, you just sign in. I trap your email. And the book, 21 Irrefutable Laws, the link to my Amazon affiliate site is also down below. Hey, thanks for listening. I had a wonderful time. I hope you did too.